Hi everybody, welcome to the third class of the track number 5 of how we can apply artificial intelligence techniques to the operations in a container port in a manner that we can improve these operations. So my name is Anibal Azevedo and now we're going to start this third class. It's important that you have seen the last class, the previous class, so a card will appear somewhere, and remember that we are doing a development about Quay cranes, how we can move Quay cranes to load or unload a container ship. It's important to remember this. And also, we're going to use a high level of comprehension. And in the description of this video, we have the link to the code, so you don't need to be afraid of details, how we're gonna create variables and so many details. It's important to understand the whole idea, and we're gonna emphasize some parts which are the important things that you must pay attention to this code. So let's start to see this. So we have this presentation that we made in the previously class, and what's important here, we're gonna apply the rule 1 to operate Quake cranes. What's important, the way that we are defining Quake cranes operations, rules operations, is very simple. You just define the place where each Quake crane should start. So this first rule, the first Quake crane here start in the first bay, and the second Quake crane start in the middle. So if you have more Quay cranes, you can define other ways to define the position of them or where they should start, and you can apply this function in recursive method in a manner that you call many times as possible this function if you have more than two Quay cranes. Okay. So I will not discuss this in deep because we have published an article that we describe this in detail. So let's understand what is this function move quake rain one. This is just a rule to understand how many time we're gonna spend if we use this starting configuration of quake cranes. So what we have here in terms of variables, what's important here, this VT it's a kind of list of how how is the workload per bay in the ship. Okay, so this will give this 3, 2, 4, and 1 information. So let's see how we can call this. So this is the VT bay minimum distance. So the minimum distance that you should keep between quake cranes, these two quake cranes, and the time to move from one bay to another. If you have to move a quake crane from one bay to another, you should spend some time. Here we don't spend any time, so it's set to 0. You can modify it and see the result when we modify this. But at this moment, no. Okay, so this is the three parameters that we have for this function. And what's important here, you have the number of base is just the length of this list. Okay, so we have these two variables are very important. We have this first variable type, which means the total this control the total time of operation of Quake Crane 1. This control the total time necessary to operate Quake Crane 2. This is the position of the Quake Crane, the starting position, the Quake Crane 1. This is the starting position of the Quake Crane 2. This is the end position, so the Quake Crane 1 should not overpass the Quake Crane 2. And this is the end position of Quake Crane 2. So if you have these 6 variables, you can control the position of the Quake cranes, and also you can control the total time that you're gonna need for to operate each Quay crane in the tasks for each Quay crane. So what's important here? We have this minimum distance also, and this total time that should be considered when we change uh, from one bay to another. When we change the Quay crane position from one bay to another, we have to consider this um, total time to move. Okay, and we also cannot move a Quay crane if the minimum distance is not preserved. We have to prevent them to move the Quay crane if this minimum distance is not respected. Okay, so we start this. And what's important, this equation give us a timeline for the Quay crane 1, and this another one creates a timeline for Quay crane 2. This is important because this variable will control how much time we are spending with Quay crane 1 or 2, and this timeline will be updated respecting a series of conditions. So here we have a kind of loop until we not find the end position for Quay crane 1 and Quay crane 2. We should perform this loop, and we can find three cases here. The case number 3 is just cranes are not in the last operation bay. So if they are not in the last operation bay, we should verify if they are still operative. It means that their position is not in the end position. So you should check if the minimal distance is okay. You can update their position so that you can move the Quay cranes. Okay. So this is the third case, letter A, which means that we should operate Quay crane because in terms of timeline, Quay crane is one is should be operated. So this is an approach that we use discrete event simulation processing of time. So when we are using discrete event simulation, we shouldn't see what is the next event to be processed. Okay, so I use my experience on discrete time simulation to build this algorithm. It's not by random that we made this. Okay, so the timeline of Quake Crane 1 operation is here. So we change this variable, which means the space between cranes. Okay, so this is important to verify if the minimum distance is respected. You update the position of Quake Crane 1 and also update the timeline of Quake Crane 1. So you should include a time to move the Quake Crane to another bay. This is the same thing but for the Quake Crane 2 operation. And this third case here is when we have a kind of synchronization. This happens mainly when we have this situation. So when we could move both Quay cranes, we move them together. So this is the third case here. Okay. Um, okay. So this is the case where we don't need to care about minimum distance. We can move the Quay cranes without worrying about this collision. Okay, so but we have to remember that we can have this Quay crane can finish its operation, but not this, and you cannot move the first Quay crane. So this is the second case here where minimal distance could be preserved or not. It depends on how the Quay crane will be operated. So if the Quay crane 2 will be operated, since we are just looking to the same direction, they will move from the left to the right, and this will be the update of the Quay crane. The Quay crane 2 doesn't have another Quay crane to block it, so it's not a problem. Okay, but this is the case where we have Quay cranes movement synchronization, okay? And also it's the same for this third case, okay? Finally, we have the minimal distance is not okay, so we have to synchronize. This Quay crane should wait the end of this Quay crane, and the timeline of this Quay crane will be the same of this Quay crane. Okay, so we get this, and only in the timeline of the Quay crane 2, since the Quay crane 2 reached is total time to perform this operation, then we're gonna get the right to move the Quay cranes. Okay. And the last case, it's at least one crane is operating its last bay, and in this way, you could it's not in this case there is no collision to be afraid of. So we are just updating the position without checking if there will be a collision. So this is the updating of position and timeline. Okay, and what's important here, when we finish this loop, we're gonna get the maximum time of the timeline of the both timelines, and we return this maximum time. Let's check if this algorithm is okay or not. Let's check it. So if you find this very confusing or not very easy to understand, you can write down some comments and say, man, you are really crazy to build something like that. Yeah, I don't know how I built this. No, I know. I used some concepts from discrete event simulation, and okay, so it's working. So as you can see here, the total time to move these Quake cranes are given here. What's important here, imagine that now you should take some time to move Quake cranes from one bay to another. Okay, so you're gonna spend some time to move one Quake crane to another bay. Okay, so imagine that you spent 3 units of time to move one Quake crane to another bay. So you're gonna increase this amount of time, 3 units. You can see here also 3 units. Okay, it's correct because each Quake crane perform 2 bays, so you have to move from one bay to another. So each Quake crane will spend 2. If the minimum is 6, it's okay. We can see also in detail if the algorithm is performing correctly, but we don't do this checking because it's boring, and the videos will make this video too much long. You can also increase the minimal distance. So this is a very interesting algorithm because in a very simple, okay, it's confusing, but in a very simple fashion, you can you can compute the total time necessary to operate these two Quay cranes. It's a kind of small simulation, okay, to get the total time that you're gonna need to operate Quay cranes in this base with this workload profile, okay? So this is correct. And in the next class, what we're gonna see, how to adapt this infrastructure, this code to the rule 2, okay? So in the next class, we're gonna see the same things that we saw here, and we're gonna use it to the rule 2, and also we're gonna give some perspective that, to use all this knowledge in the context of the previously tracks. So thank you for your attention. I hope you find this video interesting and useful, and see you in the next and last class of this track. Thank you and see you. Bye.